such an asshole.
Hey, Clary, I'm contacting you because I would like your guidance for my future. For some context, I'm currently 19 years old and living in a one-bedroom apartment. I did graduate from high school. Make $19 an hour doing a trades thing. I'm going to keep you anonymous. And $30 an hour overtime. That's great. You're making more than the average college graduate right now, especially with that overtime. I do not see this as a career for myself and more as a means to pay my expenses. I haven't gone to college yet, mainly because I'm not sure what I want to do. Brilliant. Smart. They, you're doing so well avoiding those two major mistakes. I don't want to fall into a financial trap by choosing an unemployable major. I don't have any friends, and to compensate, I have multiple hobbies to keep my mind stimulated. I never could develop friends in high school because every one of my quote peers seemed like kids that didn't know anything. Okay, now did it seem like they didn't know nothing? They didn't. The disadvantage young people have, whether you're in high school or middle school or even college, is you are surrounded by idiots. It's not these kids are low IQ idiots. They're high school. They don't know anything. They're kids. They're dumb. Yes, college students are dumb. You're very academic. You have no real world knowledge. Not you, pointing out everyone. But then you're like, well, I don't get along with these people. The smart kids wouldn't. The slightly more intelligent or just the independent minded, yeah, you wouldn't. And especially K through 12, that becomes a fucking Orwellian nightmare of the game is popularity. That's the game. And it's a game that should never be played. Like if you have love, well, okay. It's not that you don't have loving parents. If you love your child, you will not send them to a public or even a private school. You will homeschool them. Or you find a school that's very hard on, like, nope, we are here for academic rigor and accomplishment and merit. We do not allow you have the fancier shoes. We do not allow it. No, there's none of that fucking mind-numbing bullshit. Uh, and so what? Because you're only 19, you're a very young man. That's all the value system you know. I bet you right now you feel a little bit. I wouldn't say guilt, but maybe shame. Maybe you're unsure. Did I make the right? All my friends are going to college. Did I screw up? Yeah. No, you didn't screw up. You're very smart, very independent minded, doing it this way. But I'm sure there's still a little bit of like, oh, geez, they're all off to. It's because normies, conformies, and inferiors all play the popularity game. It's popular to go to college. It's not productive. It's not progress. It's damaging in most instances. And really people reality doesn't set into young people until you're about 25 years old. When the student loans end and you're out of college and all of a sudden people got a couple years trying to actually make it as a real adult, which you're already doing, you won't be confirmed or verified to have done the right thing. But I'm telling you now, you did the right thing. Um, so I would not, in other words, I would not think there's something wrong with you because you didn't get along with a bunch of 15-year-olds. My peers seemed like kids that didn't know anything. I felt apathetic carrying conversations with such individuals as well as teachers. Teachers are adult children. They also don't know anything because they've never left school. Every once in a while, you get a teacher, whatever, served in the military, had a real job, did a thing, then came and taught. Those people are cool. They're legit. But what? It's got to be 9 and 10 teachers. They know. "Ooh, I went to school when I was 5, and then I went to college when I was 18, and then I got my master's degree at 22, and then at 24, I went back to school and taught school. But I care." Yeah, teachers are. Go look it up now. It's early childhood education, but education majors in general have somewhere near the bottom, depending on the study, of the lowest IQs in all the different college degrees. And worse than that, they're conformists. Yes, they've never left the popularity game. Teachers are just they're. It's not that they're horrible people, though they are horrible many times. It is they are risible, mockable, They're a joke. I can't take people seriously who have never worked or lived in the real world. You probably have more real world working experience doing your tradesman thing than the vast majority of teachers who are 60. I never performed well in school because school is I was gonna say something. Nah, I can't. I never performed well in school because I thought there was something wrong with me. I was always bored. Exactly. Exactly. If you haven't read it, please go get the book, Curse of the High IQ. School is not made for smart kids. It is made to babysit you so mommy and daddy can go work to buy unnecessary shit for their house. That's what it's for. That's and you are not they are not there to find the best and the brightest and promote them. They try with AP classes and all that, but no, it is not for intelligent kids. It is a babysitting operation for the masses. I lift weights and compete in bodybuilding shows predominantly with my time, but to relax, I read books and go to the range. I've been teaching myself Japanese with 2 books. I bought an Pimsleur and bought an AR kit to put together. I listen to podcasts about anatomy, Da Vinci, guns, physics, and other cultures and languages. Right. I'm telling you right now, if you haven't read Curse of the High IQ, please go read it. You you are different. You are aberrant, and that's a good thing. You are actually succeeding in life. You more importantly just being intelligent, you're also independent minded, and you said you had the intelligence to say, "Fuck this shit. This is bullshit." I didn't. The vast majority of intelligent kids didn't. They thought there was something wrong with it, and to a certain extent, you felt it too. But instead of saying, "No, I'm gonna go do my things that I wanna do," you're not even 2 decades old, and you're already living more life than most guys at 50 years old. I'm telling you this because I'm starting to get lonely. The people I work with are fucking stupid, and the people I converse with at the range are fucking stupid, and the women I have dated are fucking stupid. I shouldn't laugh, but buddy, have you had your IQ tested? Here's I'm not giving away the whole book, but I'm gonna point out something to you. The average IQ is 100. That's where they base it. And then, genuine mental retardation or mentally impaired is, I believe is it 85? I think that's technically like the army won't take you. But at 70, you're barely able to what you need an adult to you're definitely impaired. You need some help, people wiping your ass. You can't you're really genuinely mentally disabled. And we all focus on that, oh, the dumb or the impaired, and you kind of should because they're impaired. They can't do anything. No one says, well, what if you go 2 standard deviations the other way? So instead of 30 IQ points below 100, what if you went 130? Well, let's move it. I need you to understand this. If you have an IQ of 130, a person with an IQ of 100 is the same intelligence difference as the normal person with someone who's actually mentally retarded, who can't wipe their own ass. The reason you're confused, you think, well, something's got to be wrong with me, is that's just because there's way more people at an IQ of 100, and that's normal in society. But make no mistake about it, the reason you keep running into fucking stupid people is compared to you, you are stupid. And I'm going to guess your IQ is well above 130. You might be in the 140, 145 range. Yeah. Welcome to the curse of the high IQ, my friend. If you are genuinely intelligent, very intelligent, everybody else is a moron. I got how many stories would you like me to tell? I go to Menards, the price check thing don't work. I got a picture of 4 gals all fussing over the one item I was gonna buy, trying to figure out the price. I mean, it's stupidity on display. I asked someone a question. There's the 2-second full gap. Hey, McFly, hello. I got people from Nebraska just driving really slow and stopping because no fucking reason. And recently we had Boomerfest, also known as Sturgis, where a bunch of wannabe motorcyclists just go and do the most dangerous fucking shit because they're boomers and it's my time. When the majority of people are normal, okay, 68% between 85 and 115 IQ, right? The majority of people are absolute fucking no morons compared to you. And I'm not saying it to kiss your ass. I'm just describing because you're I don't know your IQ. I can already tell. The fact you're an autodidact or an autodidactic, meaning you just I'm gonna teach myself Japanese. Yeah, people with an IQ of even 115 don't do that. The fucking normies masturbating to some football player wearing that guy's jersey who gets upset if his team doesn't win. Those guys aren't teaching themselves Japanese, right? And Trisha and Becky, who are formulating their own opinions as they all go to the winery to do a wine sampling, they are not assembling AR-15s or AR platforms. I don't know if it's a 15 or whatever you got going on. I'm telling you this because I'm starting to get lonely. You are going to be lonely for the rest of your life. There's just not enough smart people to go around. And this is as far as my thinking has taken me, I have not gone there. About the only place I think you're going to find people that are on your level intellectually is if you go into a hardcore STEM academia, or you find a group of people that are very intelligent somehow else through social measures. I don't know how. I don't know how. Poker, that's a pretty good selection. I mean, the guys I talk to are pretty smart. They probably wouldn't think themselves. But you got to do math. You got to pay attention. You can't be some dumbass. But just to let you know, man, we have to diagnose the problem correctly. You're not the one with the problem. Society is. And there is no solution. You're just going to be lonely. You are very rarely going to find someone who can keep up with you mentally, let alone stimulate you intellectually, mentally, which is no shock then that you go off on your own and pursue all these various and interesting and intellectual pursuits. So if there's one thing already, we haven't got through the rest of your email. If there's one thing I could recommend you do right now is you stop expecting normal people to be extremely intelligent. There's nothing you can do. There's no spray we could put in the air to get people to get their heads out of their asses. This is how dumb the average person can't explain why you can't print off more money. They really can't. Somehow they know it's wrong. Like they got the intelligence that, but they could not articulate why printing off more money results in more dollars per unit of production. That sentence of which they very few of them understand. So yeah, that's the problem being freakish in any regard. You will be lonely in that one way. My parents are not good people. I had the arduous task of raising myself. My father was in and out of prison. My mother was never around. Right. And I know that sucked. That really fucking sucked, man. Having to raise yourself fucking sucks. But that galvanizing experience turned you from pig iron into steel, which is why I would say half the reason you're pursuing these things, you're industrious because you had to be. I still have a relationship with my mother, but only a distance. I'm considering cutting her off. Well, let's not worry about that for now. But if she was never around, fuck, I have very little patience for bad parents. Very little. I have 2 Roth IRA accounts. I have 1,000 settled in one, don't do anything with, and the other I have about 4,000 some index funds I bought with some money in the S&P 500. I have 2,000 settled in HISA. Oh, that's not how you spell it. For emergencies, medical, yes. And 1,500 settled in another HSA. That's what it is. HSA. Why is that? Are people using HYSA? HYSA. HISA. Oh, I'm sorry. High yield savings account. Okay. That's I thought an HSA for your medical savings, a health savings account. I was confused. Okay. 2,000 in emergencies, 1,500 settled. I thought medical emergency. Another nice save on a BCM rifle as well. Another high 6,000 saved up to help me move out of the state. Well, I guess you could consolidate. I guess you're getting different interest rates on them. Do you need a BCM rifle right now? I know you like building weapons. That's fine. As long as you got a pistol for self-defense and a rifle for, oh shit, emergencies, maybe with some optics. I mean, can you shoot at 500 yards? I barely can. Like, there's no reason for me to get a really high-end rifle because I'm not trained to be effective or a good marksman, frankly, beyond 300 yards. So I don't know what a BCM rifle is or what it does, but do you need that right now? I own 2 vehicles, both of which I bought for cash, fixed them up, got them running well, and have just under a 780 credit score. Where have all the good men gone? Looking into getting traditional loans on land. My God, you know what's fun? Guys, everyone hear me out on this. Maybe make some comments in the comment section below. Could you imagine this 19-year-old man? Compare him to the average 19-year-old man and then the average 19-year-old woman or boy or girl, I should say, today in America. Holy fucking shit. This kid's got more money in savings and responsibility than the average 35-year-old. Not kissing her ass. I'm just describing you. I'm spitting facts. The only issue is the state I'm living in, I hate. More specifically, the culture, people, and lifestyle. I want to go back to a Western state and look for a few acres of land in the mountains, but I can't take time off of work. I want to find multiple avenues of bringing in more income so I can actually afford land. I want land because I'm starting to hate being around people. All right, let's stop right here. No, I'm going to tell you this. Yes, some people are worse than others. Minnesotans are the worst because none of these socialists, this oddly self-loathing, despicable culture. I don't know how it's mentally ill. California is up there in New York. Generally, leftists and socialists are parasitic. That's their ideology. Oftentimes, their obscure religion. And so you generally want to avoid that. But dude, it wouldn't matter where you're going to move. I mean, I went to Wyoming. I mean, about as conservative as you get. People are dumb there, man. It's meth culture, it's trailer trash culture, it's teen pregnancies. No matter where you go, it's not your problem and it's not society's problem. It's again me and the NBA. I just am never going to be able to play in the NBA. I'm too short. Not my problem. It's not the NBA's problems. Nobody's problems. You just aren't going to get along that well with people. I'm not saying give up. That's about the only thing in life there is. Do try to find your people, but do it intelligently. It's going to be work. You're going to. I go into more details on Curse of the High IQ on how to do that. But you moving is not going to. It might improve it. I don't know where you live in now. Let's say you're in San Francisco, where adult Democrats shit in the street and women vote for that because at least you got housing. No joke. Actually heard that story. All right. Yeah. You want to move away from legitimately crazy people to the Western state you're talking about where they're slightly less mentally ill. That is not going to solve the IQ problem. I'm not sure what is wrong with me, but I hate being around people and has become a catch 22. I hate people, but I'm getting lonely. Yes. And there is no solution. The solution is to acknowledge there is no solution. The solution is to accurately and correctly diagnose the problem. And the solution is I had a guy, it was the classic, I made all the wrong decisions. I got no money, I got child support, a divorced wife, no skills. What do I do? And my answer was to him, you suffer. You suffer. There's no solution. There's no getting out of this without suffering. Now, whereas his pain was self-inflicted, his problems were self-inflicted, yours are not. But unfortunately, it doesn't change. You suffer. Yeah. Short guys, they don't get as much girls. They're sexually frustrated or they have dating problems more than the average guy. They suffer. uh, Fat girls, same thing, but it's controllable. But they're not going to, let's be honest, you're not going to lose the weight, right? Come on, let's not be crazy here. Well, you're going to suffer. You followed your heart and the money didn't follow. What do I do? Well, you got student loan debts, you got no skills. You're going to suffer. You're going to work more, 2 jobs, pay off the debt, or just sit there and mope and whine and complain and be miserable and hope and go to bed every night with the fear of whether or not you're ever going to pay off those debts. You suffer. And in this particular case, yeah, you're going to suffer. You're going to be lonely. There is no avoiding that. But what makes it worse is you having hope that somehow like an Ozempic pill would be created, and now women don't have to hit the treadmill to be attractive. Which it's not coming. Is for you to give up the hope because it's taxing you and it's consuming energy. You contacting me, and I'm not wrong, I'm not criticizing this. You're trying to find like, well, what's the solution to this? I'm like, there is no solution. Acknowledging there is no solution saves you the time and energy and ultimate hope. And then all the minorities and women who voted for Obama thought he was gonna the inevitably crushing reality that it wasn't gonna come true, the letdown, the disaster that follows afterwards. You don't go through that. And once you give up the hope or or the theory that there might be a solution, that there's going to be a world where you're magically going to get along with the normie conformies and inferiors, where you're going to all of a sudden start enjoying and liking. Don't you take it from a different perspective. You've been on this planet for almost 2 decades. Don't you think you would have found some people, the company of which you'd enjoy by now? Right? Like you moved, you lived different places. Don't you think all the different cultures and environments you've gone and you're like, oh, well, what was that thing that was keeping those group of people really dumb and stupid? You go anywhere, Americans are stupid. Anywhere. You would have found out, oh yeah, it was that one group of people because they were smelling the volcano ashes or whatever it was. No, there is nowhere, no general population or community or area where you go and smart people at your level, 2 standard deviations plus, are going to fit in somehow. If there is a solution, like I said, you need to find a profession that, physicists, surgeons. The question is, do you want to go to academia for that long to or you find, you could join Mensa. It's more of a freak show, I'll just be honest. And also a lot of briggers. I have a high IQ. It's like, dude, I just want to be friendly. You're gonna have to go and find. I know this sounds weird, but I found the Stoics group in the Twin Cities. I found that very enjoyable. They were smarter than average people. You got to I don't know, nerd culture, geek culture, though that's plagued by a bunch of wannabes. It's gonna take a while, but you're gonna have to go out and try a lot of different social events. You're gonna have to go out with a lot of different groups of people, a lot of different social groups, and then find your group, find your calling. And I don't know what has super high IQ, super intelligent people, but people who build robots, battle bots. I think that would be probably be a. Do you want to play battle bots? Probably not. But yeah. I shouldn't laugh but I've been there, like, yeah, the guy at the gun range is an idiot. You set your gun down and then in comes the fucking safety bunny. You can't set that there. What are you talking about? Why not? Where else am I going to set it? Well, you can't set it there because the guy's like, oh my God. I understand safety, but there's nowhere else to put it. Why is that guy up there and up in your fucking face who's a fat pig who's carrying his, he's the type that open carries because his gun is the coolest thing he's got about him. He's a fucking low IQ idiot. He's got nothing else going on. Ooh, and he gotcha. He gotcha. Same thing with the Dungeons and Dragons douche canoe, the rules guy who's got his fucking 2-liter Mountain Dew. Actually, that fucking moron. I don't care if it's geek culture. He's an idiot. He's got an IQ of 90. He's not smart. He's lazy. He's stupid. And we're talking arrogant, dumb people, right? Just normal people who don't get it. You ever try and you probably have. You're like, Bob, you say observation A, and you say, and then curiously enough, also observation B. And you sit there waiting for people to say, and thus conclusion C. Witty observation you had between A and B there, Mr. Aaron. And you're like, see, no one, because A and B with this common variable, because it results in C. So they're all, no one, fuck it. Never mind. I'm going to go play The Witcher. So I'm not sure what's wrong with me, but I hate being around people. Yes, it's painful. It is painful. And has become a catch-22. I hate people, but I'm getting lonely. Yeah, and that's the paradox. Humans are not meant to be alone, but you got to figure out which is more painful, the loneliness or the pain of dealing with normies. Eh, And I be because this is it's only gonna get worse. It's only gonna build. You gotta find your people. That's the only solution I can give you. How? Try a ton of groups, a ton of groups. Uh, like the Japanese language. Like, is there a Japanese language group? That's gonna slick for higher intelligence. Maybe try ballroom dancing. Don't have your hopes up. I mean, in any group of people that's not just the bitch about other people having more money than us, woke purple-haired freak group, anything that's constructive, a workout group, you're gonna be selecting for higher intelligence because they're at least industrious. And every once in a while, you can find people that aren't as smart as you, or some people who are smarter than you. Your intelligence doesn't match or isn't within a range of each other, but you really appreciate their personality. I mean, that can happen. It's rare, but it can happen. But I think first thing I would do, go get your IQ tested, find out how far away you are, and then look at it on the Bell distribution chart. Look at it. Find a website that shows you, I got a Z score of 2.3. What does that look like? And you see this little blip on the right of the Bell distribution curve. That's you. And then everybody else is to the left of that. But yeah, you are going to be lonely and it's going to be hard for you to find people. It really is. And I don't envy you, well, kind of in your position a little bit, but I've lived older than you and I've met enough people. I've dated 3 women all in their mid-20s, and I would say after those experiences, I'm done with American women. Well, there might be more cultural reasons than intelligence reasons there. Have you considered different cultures? Have you considered Asian women or Latina, some more traditional, Middle Eastern? That might make it a little bit better, but I would really, no joke, if you're on the dating apps, look for a woman who has degree in engineering, surgeon, dentist. Find a high intelligent profession, which obviously would correlate with a high intelligence a woman. Uh, and I don't know, can you kind of what's his name? The Incredibles, Omni Man. Can you kind of take the view that these are all just zoo animals, that they're kind of fun and entertaining. Like when people go people watching, and I don't like people watching, but if I'm forced to do it, because sometimes the social, you kind of look, you're like, oh, look at all these weirdos. Look at that person with all the tattoos. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at they spent all that money on tattoos. That's crazy. That's wild. Oh, look at a number of metal piercings. I wonder what that person's life is like. You go on dates with, girls that, especially at your age, teens and 20s, everyone's an idiot. It's boys and girls. I don't know. It's something to do at night, right? You can't work all the time, can't work out all the time, can't learn Japanese all the time. Listen to like, oh man, this is like almost a sociological study. You're doing a National Geographic study. You're going to study the average American 20-year-old girl, and like, oh my goodness, common blathering things I was told to say. Can't even drink. Oh, I will say this, but I'm not going to recommend it long term. Man, drink and help. Drink and fucking help, man. 'Cause you don't give a fuck. The problem is the slippery slope there is that you get addicted. You become an alcoholic or a drug addict or whatever. Uh, and I think I would your drug, I think you're already pursuing, which is more constructive, industrious things. I would also strongly recommend you read Schopenhauer, all of it. Read it all. But yeah, man, it's there you gotta find the right people. Okay, let's go through this methodically. You need to acknowledge you are not the problem and society is not the problem. You then need to acknowledge that you have to become very precise, creative, and clever in how to find people that are at your intellectual curiosity level. So you want to find similar things. You have to put in the effort to go to these events and groups or whatever, find your people, find your calling. And you should also not worry about the loneliness you're going to endure being lonely, being statistically aberrant. Don't worry about that. That is well, it's not me. It was, I think it was Confucius. Worry is an unnecessary interest paid on a debt you already owe. So stop worrying about it, right? Just accept it. You're going to suffer. And also do not worry about the mundane conversations you're going to have with people. That's going to happen too. It serves you no effort and energy or purpose in expending the energy getting frustrated over these things that are in and having the sanity that comes with knowing that there is no magic bullet solution to this. So you give up hope. All right. Let's say you resort to destitution. I'm just saying, like, oh, there's no reason to get up worked up about this. Um with women, the same fundamentals I said there apply, but obviously, with the modern sex war we're having, you may want to consider more traditional cultures. So at least you're not dealing with politically minded and antagonistically minded type of gals. Maybe find more traditional women. And yeah, I think that's a good start. Do you have any recommendations of countries to visit? Yeah, Japan. You're learning Japanese. What do you mean? Do I have a obviously Japan? Go to Japan. And while you're over there, because it's a long ass flight, I'd hit up the Philippines. Do not use Priceline for a hotel. Do not use Priceline for hotel reservations. I'd hit up the Philippines. I'd probably maybe check out Singapore. It's expensive. I mean, you're doing very well for 19, but you don't. You're talking some expensive traveling now. But in general, yes, if you're over in Japan, check out the rest of Asia. I would avoid China. You're not going to live there. There's no I would like to visit China culturally, but oops, there's a cough. We're locking everyone down. I would avoid China. I hear good things about Vietnam. What else? Thailand. A lot of good things about Thailand. I've dated 3 women, all in their mid-20s. So, yeah, but that's gonna cost you. I'd be focusing more on getting your land out here before I'd be worrying about international travel. Though if you got the time, yeah, go travel a little bit. It's not like you got student loans. Ha ha! Hey, look what I did to everybody else who's got student loans. By the way, not a single one of you girls would touch him because he doesn't make enough money and his job isn't glamorous, but it pays more than your degree. The irony, yeah, that's another thing, buddy. Like, no girl, they're not just what you have accomplished. Actually, in reality, is very impressive. It's very impressive, but it's not impressive in girl world. A modern day young 20 something teenage girl. Well, that's just not impressive. They're not. I'd almost just be don't spend a calorie of energy worrying about dating. Just do it purely for people watching. Should I attend college? No, you've answered that question. You don't know what you go to college for. Would Idaho or Alaska be good grounds after America collapsed? I'd say Alaska better than Idaho, but there's parts of Idaho that'd be all right. Is there something wrong with me? Nope. Well, yeah, there is something wrong with you. Not morally or ethically. It's not your own doing. You are abnormally intelligent, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing wrong with you. You do not try to change it. I mean, there's even an episode in Family Guy where Brian, I think the dog, gets brain surgery and it lowers his IQ to where he's normal. He starts having fun. He's kind of a douchebag. It's very telling, but there's nothing wrong with you. Am I slowly becoming a loser? Nope. What? Here's where you need to be intelligent enough to know. You have to look. You have to understand how stupid the average American is and understand how universally popularity and consumerism and materialism is promoted as value systems in the United States. You need to, especially now, above all other time, you need to realize that you are right and they are wrong. Not morally wrong or evil or anything like that, but compare your finances. Let's just use your finances. You have better finances than most 40-year-olds because you don't have debt. You have a real job with a real skill and a handsome wage, especially for 19. What's the average 19-year-old got? Nothing. Maybe 8 grand in debt from their first year at ASU, and maybe a little bit of a underage drinking record. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not a loser. You're a winner technically, but like I said, you don't really find out who's a winner and a loser until people turn 25. You think I'm the stupid one? No, go test your IQ. I guarantee. Now, question is, when's the last time you did calculus or trigonometry? Like if you're freshly, I'll tell you this, if you test your IQ the very last day of your senior year, you're going to get a pretty high score because all that shit in math you learned in physics is fresh in your memory. If it's been a year, or in my case, 30, you take an IQ test, you're not going to score as high because you're not as good on your math game. So even if you got like a 120, there's your answer. You can go to queendom.com to test it. But no, you're not please, and I have it linked below. Go get the book Curse of the High IQ. It's I wrote it for this precise reason. Society has to be, not is, it has to be geared around the masses, around the normies. You can't have a highway system built for people who have an IQ of 70 and you can't have it, well, I guess people with an IQ 130 can drive just fine. You have to build society efficiently for the masses. That leaves the people on the tails in any, like let's see a really tall guy. I know a guy who's really tall. He's got a duck because the doorways aren't built as tall for him. It just there's inefficiencies that occur on both ends of the tail. And so when you realize that that's where you are and it's not going, I mean, unless you want to, I would not recommend getting brain surgery to dumb you down. I'm not kidding. Well, you're 19, so you can't drink. So wait till you're 21. Down the road, maybe try that. And if you can control your drinking, it's just like a nice little ritual. Go have yourself a drink at night and relax. But no, man, the problem isn't you. It's not you. And the problem is society. It's just an unfortunate reality. And you need to acknowledge the reality of that reality so you diagnose it correctly and whatever strategy you come up with going forth is effective. And I'm telling you now, it can be. If I'm not giving I think you could find your people. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot. And I wouldn't give up on do your thing, man. Oh, dude, I'd rather wrench on a motorcycle than just go talk to some rando at a bar. I would. I'd rather stain a deck than talk to your average person. I'd rather wrench on my car, giving it an oil change, getting dirty, than go and blather with the gal at the checkout aisle at Lowe's or Home Depot. I'd rather do any right. But I would start with reading Schopenhauer. Well, no, start with reading Curse of the High IQ, then read Schopenhauer. And then you should. And I wish, oh yeah, you take this pill and it all goes away. Nope, we're not fat chicks and it is not Ozempic. Doesn't happen. Doesn't. Probably why did Schopenhauer drink? I don't know if he drank. I know a lot of intellectuals drink. All right, let's go to the super chats. Reen Schwartzer, $5. Hey, Cappy, missed a bit of the last show, but I know a high-level nurse. She constantly dates criminals and bums. My Marine buddy had a saying, part 2. All right, let's go to part 2. He would say, women will wait forever, criminals, but not soldiers. And he's seen a lot of that anyway. Last video reminded me of him. Yeah, I don't know what the fascination. I think generally they're badass. They're willing to commit violence. It's the ultimate shit test. Because if you commit crime as such, you become a criminal, you really destroy your finances. You can't get hired at a lot of places. You're in jail. You're not making money. It's the shit test that cannot be passed. Which you don't like. No, I'm not committing crime. Well, if you're not going to commit crime for me, I will find someone who will. Yeah, it's sad, but I'm just glad I'm not a gal. You know what I like? I like women who don't commit crime. I don't know about you. But I like my women nonviolent. I like them without a criminal record. Isn't it nice having sanity to make sure your desires are congruent with good and healthy choices? Nimble Fred, I met some pretty dumb, mediocre people in college, even in engineering. Yeah, it's probably, a lot of this, how much of it is intelligence versus personality? Like you go to an actuary convention, they're really intelligent people, but they ain't interesting. No offense to actuaries. May Fred rest in peace. Blanco Boy, 20 generous dollars related. I'm from a conservative Christian background. Found out recently, even those women think men are evil for wanting attractive women. Oh, hear me. Christian men, lend me your ears. There is no instance, no, and you girls can prove me wrong. There is no instance where God is the number one thing in a Christian woman's life. Her biology is number one, and then comes God. And that's a good Christian. They are their true God is their biology. It doesn't matter how great of a man you are. If they don't get the VTs, they're not going to go out with you. And if they do get the VTs from a guy who isn't Christian, they will choose that guy almost every time over the good, reliable Christian guy who's equally attractive but doesn't give her the VTs. What's a VT? Look it up. And yes, women do not like it when men like attractive women. Because the dream, are you ready for the dream? I'm being facetious, just so you know, but it seems for many people, I'm not being facetious. The dream is that they get the man of their dreams without having to be attractive and putting the work into becoming attractive. And so, what they do in an unconscious, very OPEC cartel like way is they self regulate to make sure all the girls are shamed for being attractive and good looking because you're a pick me and I, because they don't want to have to compete. They don't want to put in the work. And that's fine. That's fine because men are realizing it and they're not going out with you. That's fine. I've never known an economy or a business agreement or some kind of contract or an exchange to work where one party just gave 0 fucks about what the other party wanted. Again, like, "Oh, I wanna produce widgets in my factory." And then, like modern day CEOs, "I'm gonna pay them the cheapest, shittiest wages possible." Like, no, I probably want them to show up on time and put the effort in. I'm gonna pay them a handsome wage because that's in their best interest, which would also be in my best. But I didn't know it had gotten that bad. I've accepted that I'll be alone. Hashtag the menu. Yeah, go watch we did videos on you search my channel, what is it? Real Christian Marriage or something like that. And there's no God, there's no Jesus. It's just a 304 with a crucifix between her cleavage. That's it. So this Peter Stalyanov, 50 Bulgarian levs. Whatever the IQ is, it is reduced by your capacity for errors for logical fallacy. For an IQ of 130, for example, if you're brain dead and don't know how to think logically critically, your IQ drops by 10 or 20 or 30 points. But IQ test equals effective IQ. I 100% agree with you. I would say you could have an IQ of 150, but if you lack logic, it might as well be 0. If anything, you'll be coming up with worse and damaging things. Your effective IQ is negative by that point. Give me a guy with an IQ of 90, but common sense and street smarts. That person will do more success because they're based in reality. They may not be as quick. They may not have as many observations. But like, well, you can't put that thing on that type of thing because it'll blow up. We can't do that. That ain't going to work because I've tried that before and that don't work. Versus some 150 IQ masters in social. Well, if we just had more of other people's money, we killed the white men, then everything would be fine. What do you mean the farmers are all white men? What? Generation Apollo, $5. I try to show people how to catfish for themselves, but they always want me to keep catfishing for them. Constant frustration of my life. You mean actually catch fish. Okay. All right. How to catch fish for themselves, but they want me to keep catching fish for them. Constant frustration. Yeah, because people are lazy. Don't why you just say no. I'll show you how to do it. Well, can you do it from now? I do that with my girlfriend. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. You're going to do that. It's always nice to give them a real task. Hey, I've never had it fixed in the but like, hey, fix up your bike if you're going to go biking. It's time. Well, how do I do that? There's YouTube. Just to remind them what you do to keep the household going. Yeah. But I don't just, but I keep in mind in a good relate. The girl is always doing the cooking or something, or she's doing her own thing, that you don't have time to do. And it's not. You should do the dishes every once in a while too. Like, oh, I remember how easy this was when I was a bachelor. Yeah, okay, got it. But I don't. Why, why are you even trying to show people how to catch fish at this point in time? Americans are just lazy pieces of shit and want the free shit. No one wants to learn it themselves. Everybody wants to be fat, dumb, and lazy. Paulie Bassman, 20 generous British pounds. I was in the checkout queue. I had to read the barcode on the pink bottle because the checkout woman was blind and pink don't work on a dirty barcode scanner. Oh my God. So the actual lines were pink and it didn't pick up, huh? Oh my God. It's the shit I'm talking about, man. Some 102 MBA laden douche canoes. Yeah, I know. Women like pink. Let's put a pink barcode in. How much do you think that cost in lost wages and labor? 100,000, 200,000? Depends on how many things were produced. A pink barcode. Battle Yak, $5. I'm back in school for electrical engineering at age 32. I'm the happiest I've been in a decade because I'm around smart people who are trying to improve. There you go. Yeah, I will say this kid, if you are looking, I two things. One, I'd start looking maybe into joining the reserves or the National Guard to have some brotherhood. All right. And they're gonna test you with the ASVAB. Please pass that with flying colors. And they might put you into a field like nuke, where he went in and became a nuclear engineer. But then you get your GI Bill, and then you can go to school for a high level electrical engineering, chemical engineering type of thing. And you can't be that dumb to be an engineering major. But it's going to be a while until you get there. Paul Navarre, 20 generous dollars. Thanks for yelling at me about paragraphs in my email. I can't remember which one you were, Paul. My professor today told me that in his 10 years of teaching, I am one of the only students to use paragraphs in an email, all because you yelled at me about paragraphs. Right. And your professor, which not a real world person. I mean, he exists. I'm just saying he's not like a real guy with a real job. He is older, right? And other people who are older, like your professor, are in other places in the US economy, like hiring managers. Honest to God, Paul, think about this. This is not a criticism of you at all in the slightest. It's more of a condemnation of your competition in your peer group, your age group. If no one's using paragraphs and you send in an email and you actually use a paragraph because it doesn't violate the person's eyes, who's going to get the better job offers? Who's going to get responses? You are. For paragraphs, not your GPA, not your degree, for paragraphs. Hatham Thabit, 7 Canadian. I got an IQ of 115 and relate to the client, but just accept the fact and focus on improving myself further and enjoy my hobbies. And here's another thing. What do you look? You're here. I forgot to mention this to the client. Everyone is faced with the paradoxes of existence. Now, if you're a normie, conforming, inferior, you do the thing that's popular because you were told to do the thing that's popular, and you're too stupid to realize that that's basically a waste of time because you never ask, well, why am I doing the thing that's popular? Do I even want to do the thing that's popular? Like, no, we're doing the thing that's popular. We're watching the game, bro. We're here with another 60,000 people watching Michigan State play against Indiana, not State. Oh, they threw the ball. You ever wonder, like, that's a lot of effort to go and money, go sit there and watch a game. You're doing it all right. He's studying Japanese. He's doing his weight lift. You're doing it right, man. You're listening to documentaries. I'd also recommend getting the menu, Life Without the Opposite Sex. That the subtitle doesn't really apply here. But yeah, there's a lot of things you could go and study in the world. He's going to have to. He's going to live another, what, at least 50 years. Got to get out there and live it. And you don't want it to be miserable, so make it as enjoyable as possible. I'm going to listen to podcast while I go for a walk maybe later today. Ray John, too Canadian. I know you dislike NFL, but what about boxing, UFC? I'd rather watch that. You're right. And if I had to choose a major sport to watch, I would watch football because there's a lot more action going on. But yeah, boxing and UFC, I'd rather watch that because it's impressive. Not to say the NFL isn't impressive, but it's the athletes. I've never criticized the athletes. The athletes are all amazing. I mean, might not be the brightest, but what they achieve physically is amazing. But I don't know. How long do I want to sit and watch two guys fight each other? It's impressive, but I got other things to do, man. Samuel Talk, $2. What do you do for fun now? I'm trying to revisit it now that all the major projects are done. So I'm playing video games, obviously hiking. Might go for a motorcycle ride today. I play poker. What else? I'd want to get into boxing myself. Power paragliding. I want to travel to Asia again, but this time not use Priceline or the shit credit card company out of Nebraska that I'll never recommend to anyone again. Yeah, I just want to maybe see other, and then I consume copious amounts of podcasts about different things I find intellectually interesting, like nuclear physics, tornadoes, my nerd podcasts I tune into. That's what I do for fun. Um, and I enjoy the occasional cigar. I've cut way back, but I'm forcing myself to just sit. I got some wind chimes. I had to move them to go on the side of the house that wasn't by the trees, so they'd actually get wind. Otherwise, they don't chime. Super high IQ person right here. It's that's more meditative and mental health. But yeah, that's kind of the fun. I like today is day 3 of me not working, quote unquote. I'm just playing catch up with the videos, but where I don't do any kind of obligation, and that's the hard part right now is getting back to I wanna get to summer vacation or like when I was 4 years old where I don't worry about anything. You just go out and do what you want. So that's what I'm working on now. All right, that's it. Link below. Curse of the High IQ. Sanity is the future of wealth. That's another one maybe you want to pick up. I do not have it listed below, but the menu, Life Without the Opposite Sex, we could subtitle that Life Without Other People. Even though I don't have it listed, go look up author Schopenhauer and consume his works. All right, we'll see you guys later. Toodles.